Well, here we are sitting in Kingsland a few days after those level 8 passes opened, and there was a ton of fighting in this Kingsland battle. But as you can see, we emerged victorious. In this video, I'm going to tell you how it all went down, so stick around. What's up everybody, Psych out here with another Rise of Kingdoms video. You can see we are sitting here in Kingsland. We have emerged victorious in this KVK, our camp, Earth camp, along with our allies from Fire camp. After about a full day, 12-hour day of fighting, the enemy negotiated some kind of settlement between the kings of the different camps and all of that. So arrangements were made to put a cease to the fighting, but it was an intense amount of fighting. Really happy to say a couple of things right at the start. First of all, amazing allies. We had incredible allies from our campmates. The two main alliances there, BPHX and MTO, were just fantastic in executing on their plan. And then we had two excellent allies from the Fire camp as well. So just really proud of our allies and what they did. That really made it all possible to emerge victorious in this KVK. So that's super exciting. It's always fun to get a KVK win. But we couldn't have done it without the help of some very strong, very competent, very capable allies. So I want to talk in this video a little bit about how the fighting went. And look, I tried to record, and I did record tons and tons of stuff leading up to Kingsland, everything that was going on, and just been exhausted between A, the fighting, and B, my kids. By the way, my kids in baseball right now. I'll put a card at the top showing you how they absolutely wreck me when it comes to trying to craft legendary gear. But basically, we've been out doing activities with them every day. And it's been really difficult to record, really difficult to try to put videos together. So sorry for the long delay, but I didn't want to go back over that stuff that I recorded. It just feels too old, too out of date now. I just want to give you an update on where we are actually at the current moment. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So obviously we started over here at this level 8 pass. This is where Earth camp was housed. We basically had a plan of attack here and followed that plan of attack pretty much as exactly as we wanted to. So the alliances, our camp mates, they went and so it's BPHX and MTO. They marched down here to try to lock out and I'll zoom out a little bit. Their plan was to march down directly to south towards that level 8 pass, and they actually launched out of this pass here to this one to try to lock Wind camp out. As you can see, my alliance and then our other alliance in our kingdom, the other two main alliances, marched all the way towards the center with DRM, one alliance, marching south just below where the Great Ziggurat is, and our alliance, La Resistance, marching north of that Great Ziggurat and headed straight for the level 8 pass of Water camp. Now, Fire, for their part, had to push out of their passes and push down towards Water. Early on, it was crazy. There was just tons and tons of field fighting, getting smashed a whole bunch of times. I'll show you which marches I used here in a moment, but there was lots and lots of fighting as the flags built out. And then eventually things sort of settled in around, I believe sort of settled in around this area. There was quite a bit of fighting in this area. Then there was quite a bit of fighting around this area of the Great Ziggurat for a while, until eventually we were able to sort of slowly push on NEVL and their allies, that is Water camp. We were able to slowly push on them and lean on them here. There was a lot of battling in specifically this area where they had built out of this level 8 pass. There was a lot of battling here, trying to cut off one of their flags. The DRM alliance was doing a lot of that work, but BPHX also came over to do some of that work as they had locked out after they had locked out Wind camp over here. But the real pivotal moment, the moment when everything sort of fell apart, was when we got our alliance started building flags. You can see we've got some flags this way. We had actually connected all the way down to this level 8 pass here. And once we were able to take that pass, one of the kingdoms had a ton of territory built all the way up north, all the way up into this area where Fire Camp is now currently, where their flags are, was all yellow. And once we took that pass, it cut all of those flags off. This instantly led to dozens of city rallies, city swarms, just zeroing as many cities as we could. And that was really a sort of breaking point for the opponents, you know, wanting to save those cities, wanting to save those players, and the realization that those players weren't going to come back, weren't going to be able to come back and continue fighting after they had been zeroed, led to them getting into peace talks and ending the KVK. So that was about a 12-hour day of crazy amount of fighting. Talk a little bit about my preparation, what kinds of marches I used during this fighting. Before I had been using some different set. I'd been using like Richard and Ethelfled. I'd been using Nebu with YSG. I'd been using XY Nevsky, Saladin William, and it was the 5th March Guan and Alex. It was the 5 marches I was using. I actually unlocked a 6th march before the passes opened up, and I was max tech on everything else, everything except the 2 expanded marches I had completely maxed out. I had opened up a 6th march, and so I decided to do a few things. So one of the things that I did was made some different commander investments, and I'm going to show you some of those here. So you can see that I actually took Trajan from 5411 to 5551 and actually used Trajan on the battlefield. I used this kind of setup here, although this isn't quite right. This isn't quite the setup I used. I think it's because I don't have the expansion on right now, but essentially I used mostly archers with Trajan and Trajan Ethelfled, so that was one of the marches that I used, 5551 Trajan. The second march I used was Nebu with YSG. Again, the Nebu is 5525, as I've shown before. The third march I used was actually Guan with Leo. I have a reason for this. I broke up Alex, and I'll show you that here in a second. So Guan 5242 and Leo 5511. Not a super powerful march, but they both do AoE. They give Guan a little bit of tankiness. And most importantly, the second skill on Leo actually increases that speed of range gain by 15%, which means Guan fires his skill faster, typically a turn earlier than the enemy, which is really critical because you get that silence and the enemy is silenced for longer. So that's a march we used. I used actually Nevsky with William. So this was one of the big changes I made. I actually took Nevsky all the way to level 60, built out his skill tree, which I'll try to show here in a moment, and put William behind him. That meant Saladin, who I had just expertise, actually went to the bench. And it also meant I had this new pair here, XY with Honda. I actually took Honda from 1000 and totally expertised him to pair him with XY. Honda is really cool for a lot of reasons. Number one is he has a really big fan-shaped area. Look, when Honda first came out, I was super excited about him. You guys know I love area of effect damage, and I was super excited about his AoE. But then a lot of people were testing him, and it just didn't seem like he was making the cut. It seemed like it just wasn't working, and so I was sort of down on Honda. And look, in my commander guide, I actually didn't really recommend investing in him. I'll put a card at the top for that commander guide, but I've since then said, wait a minute, actually, as a secondary commander, Honda is actually very good. So he does quite a bit of damage, but again, it's a really big fan-shaped AoE. He brings a lot of other things that XY really needs. So some extra march speed, a whole lot of attack, which gives a lot more damage. He also reduces all damage taken by 5%, which is really nice. He gives extra skill damage whenever an active skill is cast. Reduces the enemy march speed so they can't get away from you. And then he gives extra troops, brings extra troops on the field, which again means more damage. And he also increases skill damage as his number of troops go down, which is kind of a nice effect again for XY. So this is a big AoE march. We've got XY, we've got Honda. Of course, XY is doing some debuff here. Successfully hit targets, suffer 30% reduced defense, so he reduces their defense, and then Honda fires off his big AoE. And that's one of the things that's really neat about this pair is that because XY fires his skills off quickly, you are firing off a lot of AoE very fast with this pair. And if I have a report here, I'll show a report from when these two were paired together. Finally, his expertise even adds more tankiness to this march, which is really nice for XY and Honda. And then the last march I used was actually Richard with Alex. Richard primary here just because he has the defense tree. I wanted to get Alex on the field. Alex is really good in a murder ball. But this just ended up being one of the best perks I have. I basically have 6 sets of gear, 2 infantry, 2 archer, and 2 cavalry. I would have loved to have gotten Saladin on the field using some other kind of cav march, but it just wasn't going to work out with the kinds of pairs that I had. So I ultimately went with Richard and Alex. Didn't get great trades with this march, but having the Alex on the field gave me that utility, particularly from his expertise, which means that up to 3 enemy troops in the nearby area take extra damage. So that's a really valuable skill to have on the field. So those were the 6 marches I used in the open field this KVK. All through Kingsland, it was really, really good. I have to admit, I was pretty happy with the results I got during that kind of fighting. And let me pull up here, let's see, where is it? Okay, yeah, I can pull up here my actual kill points. We've gone up quite a bit of kill points. In fact, since the start of the KVK, we were around 800 million kill points. And I think I have the actual numbers if I can pull them up here. Yes, here we go. We started around 800,000 something kill points at the start of the KVK, and now we're at 800 million. Now we're at 1,750,000,000 kill points. That is more than doubling our kill points this KVK. In total, I had almost 58 million kills, 57.9 million kills. About 34 million of those were T5, and about 23.5 million were T4. So did tons of kills. At one point, I wasn't even sure if we were going to hit the 30 million kill requirement early on in the KVK, and then we just absolutely shattered it, and I could have gone on fighting for a lot more. So we had plenty more kills that could have been done if the KVK continued. Ended up not taking as many deads as I expected. I took about 1 million deads, 1.1 million deads before Kingsland opened, and I thought I would take maybe 2-3 million deads in Kingsland, and ended up not taking quite that many. So we're sitting at 2.3 million deads right now. Of course, 1.1 million of those will be returned, almost all T5. Somehow I have a T1 dead. I don't exactly know what happened there. But in any case, these are the dead troops, and this is what we'll be getting back when the KVK ends. So that's sort of how I did personally. That's sort of how we did. I'll also show the achievements here, just so that we can round things out. For individual achievements, this is the only one I'm still missing. I need to get another 47 Bastion quests done, so that's going to take well, I guess another 3 or 4 days. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get those all the way done for another reason that I'll reveal here momentarily. But we got all of the other individual achievements done, all of the kills, things like that. Yeah, so yeah, there's our 30 million kills. There's a whole bunch of other things that will happen. We're going to occupy the Great Ziggurat. We'll have the Ziggurat. Actually, we're going to be getting this one, the Ziggurat, at the end of the event. So this, I think, goes to the Alliance. Yeah, so this will go to the Alliance. These will go to individuals. Some of these other rewards we're getting to, I don't remember all of the specifics, but there will be lots of other rewards there. And then some of these camp rewards, actually, I'm not even sure what it's going to take to get the camp to 30 million honor. We're actually leading. I'm pretty sure if I go to honor roll and we go to ranking, so we're quite a far ahead, but I don't know how we're going to get another 7 million honor. Maybe we'll do some kind of a big push or something for that. In terms of individual honor, I haven't been pushing for this, so I'm not anywhere near the top. But somehow we're in the top 100, and our alliance, I'm like 11th, the alliance, it's not alliance based. So in terms of our coalition, that is our coalition, that one there. So we're number 1 in honor for that as well. So that's where we're sort of at this point in the KVK. I did say I wanted to show a report, so hopefully that report's still in there. Let me jump over to, oops, sorry about that. Let me jump over to this report. Hopefully I can still show it. This is just one example. You can see I favorited tons and tons of reports here. This is just one example of a report from an XY, this XY Nevsky march, which I think was just, it was stunningly good. I found it to be a super high performing march in this KVK. So here's just an example, right? So we're attacking an Edward, okay, Kusunoki, okay, so that's not a very strong march that we're hitting. I think that's also a T4. Okay, so we did a lot of damage to that one. But then here's a Guan Alex that we hit. Here's some AoE to a Nevsky William. Here's some AoE to a Nebu Edward. Here's another damage to an XY Mehmed. Here's a Guan. I mean, in every single one of these, you can just see these positive trades. You know, that's a Guan with Martel. Richard Ethelfled, again, big positive trade. You know, at least 2 to 1 on many of these in here. You know, some AoE to this Constantine Trajan. You know, another positive trade, it's just, you know, all positive trades with this March. Now, okay, so and then like, I mean, here's a huge one, right? I just way in my favor on just about every single one of these. It's just so good. You know, there's an XY William, we trade pot, you know, just really good, just really good scores with this March all around. And there's another one with a Nevsky Saladin, again, way in our favor. And I mean, that's all T5 right there. I mean, that's just, you know, and of course, I will say that, you know, obviously I have some pretty good tech. I have some pretty good gear here, you know, compared to my opponent. We've got cavalry health at 112.5% compared to only 68% for my opponent. So we've got some pretty good stats. My opponent does have a lot of attack, but in this case, the attack is not as valuable as the health here. So yeah, pretty good stats on our cavalry, pretty good damage. And again, I can, you know, there's just tons and tons of these reports. Here was a garrison report where we used an XY Nevsky against the Xeno YSS, and we did okay, but I think there was some decent AoE on that. Here's what is this one here? Yeah, this is another XY Honda. Just, you know, just performing really well in the open field. And there was sort of an even trade from a pretty high power player there. Yeah, and just, you know, there's lots and lots of reports like that. This was some reports from before where we hit a Crusader Fortress. I guess there was somehow a Shandak Khan in that Crusader Fortress that did not work out well for them. So in any case, tons of killing this KVK. I did a little bit of math early on, but I couldn't always keep track of it. I ended up trading better than 2-to-1 in almost every, well, on average across all of the fighting. In some cases, we traded, like when we were fighting in the altars, we traded better than 5-to-1. That was with XY Nevsky, which is just a crazy good March as well. So, okay, so that's kind of how we did this KVK. Pretty exciting to get the win. Again, super big shout out to our allies who were awesome. You can see I am down to 97 million power, which is down quite a bit from my highest power, which I don't remember exactly what that is. Let me jump back over here and see. Let's see, somewhere here it tells us what our highest power was almost 130 million. And I'm actually trying to lose more power. I'm going to be bringing this down to around 84 million power in the next few days. And the reason for that is because I'm actually going to be migrating to another kingdom, but I'm going to save that for another video. So be on the lookout for that new video coming up pretty soon, talking about the migration, where I'm headed, why I'm headed there, and anything else you might want to know about migration. So look, thanks so much for coming by for this video. If you like this video, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And hit that bell notification so that you get alerted when that migration video drops. Thanks so much, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.